Welcome to a new episode of Digital Coffee Gaming Brew, and I'm your host, Brett Geiser. If you could please subscribe to this podcast on all your favorite podcasting apps, it really does help. But this week, I'm going to be talking about some drama and interesting things that basically was going on with BioWare. Apparently the Mass Effect team, the Dragon Age team didn't really like it, and EA didn't really understand how to market it. So that's going to be an interesting thing to talk about. Also, Lords of the Fallen 2.0 is out. We're going to be talking about that. The next Battlefield game and some interesting things they're testing out is probably the best way of saying it. All right, NVIDIA's new GPU drivers are out, and we're going to be talking about Skull and Bones Year 2 because that's still a thing apparently. Talking a little bit about Assassin's Creed Shadows and like the sales of it because they never give numbers. And it's a very interesting thing that's going on because before they would actually give numbers, it's the best selling one. Numbers. It is selling really well. Here are the numbers. But this one, it's the best selling. No numbers. Just take our word for it type of thing. We'll talk about that. And a little bit about Overwatch 2 and its new stadium mode. I have not played it. A little news about Dune Awakening, and it's not great news, but it's news in general. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 update. We're going to talk a little bit about Marathon, and people aren't that excited about it. Also, we're going to be talking about apparently the GOP thinks that men play video games all day, and that's why it's a drain on Medicare and not really the underlying issues and just playing video games. And so we talk a little bit about that and why they're wrong, because apparently it's just one of those things. We're talking about the tariffs and kind of China's technology and why you never trust what China says, because you just never trust what they say. They have said amazing things about their stuff, and then when you look at the numbers or look at the physical product, it's not actually what they say it is. So they're always lying about it, which is always funny to me. Anyways, let's get on with the show. That's good. All right. I hope you're having a fabulous Friday, because it is Friday, but we're going to get into the first thing about BioWare, because apparently it wasn't all rainbows and sunshine at BioWare when there was Mass Effect and Dragon Age. Unfortunately, there's no more Dragon Age, but from the former lead writer at BioWare, David Gator, I think is his last name, sorry if I mispronounce it, claims that during his time at the company, EA preferred the Mass Effect series over Dragon Age. He worked at BioWare for nearly 2 decades and was involved in every Dragon Age except for the Veilguard. Wise move. He stated that EA's marketing team favored Mass Effect because it was perceived as modern and action-oriented, which is funny because Baldur's Gate 3. So clearly the EA hires the dumbest marketers that don't really understand games or gamers. So you may be wondering why EA is doing so terribly. Hire better marketers. Anyways, he expressed that Dragon Age was always just shy of the axe since Dragon Age Origins. He noted that the variations in Dragon Age games might be due to BioWare team's tendency to overreact to feedback and criticism, along with EA's influence. So the game was all about an overreaction to what was going on and just poor hiring practices, putting people in leadership positions that they should never been in. Listening to the crazies is probably another reason why. It's why Veilguard didn't do very well. Secondly, I've played a bit of it. I'm never excited to play it. I am interested to see it, but every time I play it, I get bored because it's not a good game overall. The writing's not great, and the look of it feels way too cartoony, Inquisition and the other one. So it should have been its own game, meaning it should have just renamed it to something else. probably would have sold better. But when you have a specific like art style and writing direction of it, and you completely flip it, it doesn't do well. Anyways, he also previously criticized EA, suggesting they should follow Learning Studios' approach with Baldur's Gate 3 after EA indicated that the Veilguard did not resonate with a broad enough audience, because you didn't make it for a broad enough audience. You make a game for the majority of people. If the majority of people do not resonate with gender ideology, you don't make it for that. That is a very specific, very niche, and very unsuccessful way of making a successful game. Majority of people do not agree with it, so stop putting it in your games. It's that simple. The creator and former lead writer of Dragon Age discussed his experience at BioWare before leaving in 2016. He noted that the two teams had a very different cultures and operated almost like separate studios, which makes sense. When you form teams around specific things, each team will be different from the other one. That's just how humans are. He was asked by BioWare management to write a science fantasy story for the game Anthem, which initially has been conceived as a hard sci-fi setting. He received feedback from Anthem team that his writing was too Dragon Age, leading to difficulties in his role. First of all, the dude created Dragon Age Origin, so you shouldn't be criticizing him at all, because that was a fantastic game, fantastic writing. Dragon Age 2 was still pretty good. Inquisition was all right. To be fair, it got not as good as Origins, but Origins was really good in the writing terms. I'll even put Inquisition as still pretty good writing for what it was, because Veilguard just kind of just killed it. Didn't do very well. He mentioned that Anthem team appeared to be asking against making an RPG and did not provide him with the necessary tools for storytelling. After 17 years at BioWare, he left following a failed attempt to negotiate a creative director position and expressed his desire to leave the company. Post BioWare, he developed Stray Gods, the role-playing musical, and is working on a project called Mayas. Apparently it's a card deck building game. BioWare continued to work on Anthem for several years, which ultimately didn't happen. They canned it, but it's a really interesting thing that's happening. So the same company, but the teams hate each other, which goes with cultural problems. You're supposed to be a main cohesive team with your own specific cultures. And if someone from that team comes over there, it shouldn't be looked as negative. And if the dude wrote Dragon Age Origins, you probably should listen to the dude or help write it or whatever. You should listen to him. Creates great stories. Anthem was okay. Apparently not entirely his fault, because if the team doesn't help you out, you're screwed with creating really great stories within the game. Anthem seemed to be doomed to fail because the team was a little too pretentious, a little too entitled, and very narcissistic about, oh, it's too much Dragon Age. How dare you, plebs that play RPGs? We are not RPGs, even though our company was basically founded on RPGs. That's how they got popular. They created Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2, which if you haven't played, I recommend you playing. Baldur's Gate 2 is better, but they're both really good games. So you can't hark on that. And it's another reason why Veilguard just wasn't as good, because it felt like it was basically Mass Effect with dragons. The combat's not that good. It's okay, but there's no depth to it. It's very repetitive. It was just not a good game. And I know that BioWare had asked for help from the Mass Effect team to create combat for it, so I know exactly where it came from, because it feels very Mass Effect. And Mass Effect has great combat, but not in this sense. It's tragic, because BioWare used to be a great developer with great games. Baldur's Gate 2, Knights of the Old Republic, Jada Empire, great game. Neverwinter Nights, haven't played that. Recommend you playing it. And then Obsidian just made better versions of it. Neverwinter Nights 2, Knights of the Old Republic 2, by far the better story out of the two. Execution not so good because they were rushed, but better story overall. What do you do when it seems like EA doesn't want them to succeed? They just don't know how to market a fantasy RPG. Are you serious right now? Mass Effect was quote unquote better. They were both great games. First of all, Dragon Age is a fantastic game. It was a spiritual successor of Baldur's Gate. If the marketing director from whatever team did not tell them to play the games to understand it better, terrible boss. You should have your employees being like, look play these games, figure out why players like these games, and market it that way. Didn't happen. EA is incompetent. They do not hire good people. They do not hire competent people, unfortunately. And it shows. It is showed time and time again when Titanfall 2 came out and you wedged it between Battlefield and Call of Duty. Stupid move. Who thought that was a good strategy? And people love Titanfall 2. They still want to play it. They're still asking for another Titanfall game because Titanfall was a really good game. Like, you hire the wrong people, and this is what you get. Anyways, moving on to Lord of the Fallen 2, which is released by CI Games. It is a remake of an older version of Lord of the Realm or Lord of the Fallen. I don't want to say Lord of the Realms, which is the actual game that is a spiritual successor of one of the recent games. I forget the game now, but Lord of the Fallen 2.0 is described as definitive edition of the game. It includes over 50 post-launch updates. There is a free Friends Pass available as part of the update. A small delay has been announced for the Steam release due to technical issues, while the EA Epic Game Store, Windows Store, PlayStation 5, Xbox S and X versions are unaffected. It looks like it adds co-op to it as well, which, hey, at least they're going with the time. They're looking what Elden Ring is doing. They're like, we should probably bring that in as well. It's not a bad idea for it. And if they're making a sequel to the game, probably look at what Elden Ring has done and improve upon that and make it your own. I think Lord of the Fallen is a fine game. I don't think there's terribly things wrong with it. I think there was a lot of issues in the beginning, but I think it's a really good game. All right, moving on to the next Battlefield game, Battlefield 6 or whatever else it's going to actually be called. It still doesn't have an official name, so that's why I said whatever else it needs to be called. Fans are participating in an early build of the game through Battlefield Labs playtest program. Participants in the playtest have leaked footage despite its non-disclosure agreement, which I think is really funny. It's like, you're not supposed to share stuff. We'll share stuff anyways because we want to keep you accountable because of what you did previously, which is called Battlefield 2042, which was not a great game when it launched. It was okay. Not great. I don't play that much anymore because don't really care about it. Play Delta Force if I want to. Better game. Wish Delta Force didn't have the specialist or whatever they call it. But there it is. But so the controversy right now is around the skill-based matchmaking. Now, they said that this has already been implemented since 2042, which is not the best way of saying it. Hey, we implemented in the worst Battlefield game title to date. It's, should you really be adding it? Now, the lead producer of Battlefield addressed the rumors about the SBMM in the post, stated that heavy SBMM where skill separation is prioritized is considered problematic, but having a skill value for matchmaking is necessary for balanced teams. But it didn't really work all the time because there were times where I played and it was very unbalanced. So I get it, but yeah, if you're going to do this type of like matchmaking, skill should be like the least amount it should be judging on because it's Battlefield. big battlefields, you're going to have tons of other players playing. It doesn't really matter as much than Call of Duty, which is smaller maps, even though I don't really agree with it. And I think XDefiant did a good job of not really having it. But if you're going to have it, skill should be the least thing you worry about. It should be the lowest value for figuring out who plays the game. If you do that, it'll be successful. If you don't, we're going to have problems. And people are very skeptical, and they should be, because Battlefield 2042 is a great example of what not to do for a game. Scoreboard really wasn't there. There were tons of problems in it. Just performance issues was lacking. Specialists were just half-baked. I think 128 players can work, but they have to be very well-designed maps. But I do think there is a way to make it work. And the vanilla maps were not good. There were too many open sight lines for snipers to kill you on. And that was the biggest issue of all of it. And the maps look like there was never a battle being waged ever. And this was supposed to be like civilization has fallen everywhere type of thing. And it's like that. It was just like the setting was great. The execution of the setting was not. Destruction really wasn't there anymore, even though it was like the best destruction we ever had. And I'm like, dude, like it's not. Like Battlefield 5 had better destruction. Battlefield 1 had like the previous titles that were subpar or better had better destruction than this game did. Portal was the saving grace, which they basically ignored. I'm glad it's supposedly coming back as Portal 2.0, but you cannot ignore this game mode. I keep on saying, if you bring back Portal again, put all the previous Battlefields in that. It will save you and it will make the game last as long as possible, even post development and even after support is done. People will come back to play it. People will come back to play Battlefield 4. People come back to play Battlefield 1. Why? Because these games were really good. Battlefield 4 was not good when it was launched. It took a year to actually fix the map, which people seem to forget. The game was awful when it launched. Battlefield 4 was horrendous. I got cut out of matches so many times. I didn't play it for a while because I'm like, I don't really want to deal with this. Evolution was okay. It was more of a gimmick than anything else, but it was there. Siege of Shanghai is still, I still enjoy playing it. It's one of my favorite maps. I like the Battlefield 2 maps a little bit more. They were a little bit harder to do. Gulf of Omen is, I still find fun. Even though you have a terrible team, you're screwed. Like they need to lean in on their past stuff and try to implement them into Portal. Portal should actually be Battlefield. Battlefield should be Portal. You put the old games in and then you just have a new game and you put it into Portal and then you have these different portals to go to different types of games is the best way going forward. They want a live service. Portal is your future. Now, whatever you're trying to do, which I swear, if you put more Call of Duty stuff in here, I will not play your game. Forget that. All right. So NVIDIA is releasing a new GPU driver version 576.02 on, no, already happened. April 16th, 2025. The driver includes numerous fixes for bugs and crashes affecting its game-ready drivers. Reports of issues include black screens, game crashes, and general stability problems. The driver fixes stability issues with Windows 11 version 24H2, which I have, and a BSOD or blue screen of death while playing DLSS 4 games with a multi-frame generation. That's great. Have your most selling point if you can actually buy a 5000 series, and the highlight of the 5000 series crashes your game and crashes your system. Great. It addresses random black screen issues with the 50 series GPUs and general system stability concerns. Specific game related fixes include crashes in Fortnite, Star Wars Outlaws, and Monster Hunter Wilds, as well as stutter issues in Overwatch 2. It's not a new game. The release notes indicate a significant number of fixes taking up 2 pages, which is unusual compared to typical updates, because typical updates aren't that big with NVIDIA. It's usually AMD that has the worst problems, but I haven't heard as many problems with AMD, which is funny because NVIDIA is supposed to be the good one and you're not. Really, I was going to upgrade my GPU this year, and then I kept on hearing reports about low sale, like low availability, higher pricing, not very good performance from the 40 series to the 5000 series. And I'm like, you know what? I know I have a 3090, but I'm just going to wait it out. And then I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I'll just wait for the 6000 series. And maybe they'll have multi-frame generations and it won't even matter because it's all a gimmick. I forgot to mention that the driver also supports the GeForce RTX 5060 Ti GPUs, which is launching at the starting price of $379, which actually will not be the starting price because of tariffs. I know there's a supposed pause on it, which we'll get later in the show, but that will not be the starting price. I guarantee you, you're probably going to have to add $200 or more to that. So you're probably going to be spending about $500 to $600. It's probably close to $600 to $700, to be really honest with you. Even the quote unquote, not even mid-range or mid-range GPUs are inching towards the $1,000 price point, which goes to show you MSRP does not matter anymore. Especially if you make it in China. Probably shouldn't be making it in China anymore. All right, moving on to Ubisoft. And it plans for significant content additions to Skull and Bones for those that are still actually playing this game. And it's a year 2 update, including new maps, ships, and land combat. Oh my God, they're finally allowing you to go on land. Because, what's that one? What's that rare one from Microsoft? I don't remember the name. It's basically like a Sea of Thieves. There it is. That one already had all this stuff. Plus, you could get on other people's boats. Plus, you could actually walk around your boat. It was amazing technology that came out several years before this game. Ubisoft is just, they can't catch a break, but it's also their fault they can't catch a break a lot of times. So, year 2 showcase occurred April 14th, 2025. The Season 3 Guts and Glory will introduce land combat, allowing players to engage in sword fighting and firearm combat. Wow, amazing. A game that launched a few years ago finally has land combat. This is truly an early access game. This game was not launched to be complete, and that has been Ubisoft's MO for a little too long, and they deserve everything that's coming to them because this is a travesty. Players will be able to rescue skilled crew members known as officers during Season 3. Ooh. Season 1, titled Ascent into Chaos, launches on April 15th, 2025, so it's already live, and includes a loot-enhancing item feature, challenging world tiers, and a new schooner medium ship, and a Death Tides PvP mode. Season 2, Oath of War, will launch in summer of 2025, featuring mega forts and frigate large ships. All right, mega forts. Kind of sounds like a Lego. Season 4, Eye of the Beast, will introduce the Kraken and Hunters Guild this winter. A free weekend of Skull and Bones will take place from September 17th, which is right now, to September 21st, 2025, allowing players to try the game and purchase it at a reduced price because nobody is really playing this game. Skull and Bones was released on February 16th, 2024 for PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series S. And the game is received from IGN, which is a 7 out of 10, which you probably need to knock down like 2 extra ones, 5 out of 10. Ubisoft reports record player engagement shortly after the game's release, but did not disclose specific sales numbers. Sound familiar? Because they always do this now. They're like, it's amazing. We had record amounts of players playing the game. All right, what's sales figures? Don't look at that. All right, we'll look at Steam numbers. That's not true. Then what is? You won't give us the numbers. You won't really tell us the numbers. You just say it's doing really well. Trust us, bro. It's like, okay. The launch of Skull and Bones coincided with a 200% increase in players of playing Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag because it was better. Because you could actually go to land at the time. Now you can. Over a year later. Not really good. All right. Speaking of sales numbers and Ubisoft. So there's this guy called Matt. I do want to say his name. He's only on Blue Sky, by the way, so it means that he will not get fact checked at all. I do have an account. I actually make a second account, but because apparently he blocked me. Apparently I made him mad by asking for sales numbers. Never ask people to show their work. So the sales numbers of Assassin's Creed Shadows has been the best-selling video game in the US by number sales for each of its first 3 weeks since launch. Only 3 weeks. Data source, the information comes from Cernana analyst Matt based on data available through April 5th, which he never shares. Year-to-date performance, year-to-date Assassin's Creed Shadow trails only Capcom's Monster Hunter Wilds in sales, which it also trails significantly by Schedule 1, because Schedule 1 beat out Monster Hunter Wilds. Critical reception, the game has a Metacritic rating of 81, characterized as generally favorable and 80% on 16,000 Steam user reviews are positive, ranking overall reviews as very positive. Recent update game has continued updated the player base. The game has generally reportedly surpassed 2 million players shortly after launch, supposedly, because we don't really know what the numbers are. Here's my issue with all this. I went to Blue Sky because it was on there, because that's where you post things that will not be fact checked. Because if you post it on X, then people will fact check it through community notes, and said that yes, it did sell. Mind you, no sales figures. Just trust me, bro. It did sell well. That's not how you convince people that it did sell well. I am fine if you make a game that sells well that I think is not very good. I'm fine with that. But show your work. If it's math, show your work. If it's sales figures, show your work. Stop telling me to trust you, bro, because you said something is selling. It doesn't make any sense. Ubisoft to date has not shared any sales figures on Assassin's Creed Shadows. This company, which apparently this guy has worked previously on other developers, has not shared any data. He just says, through the data that I've seen, it's sold. I don't know what that means. If you cannot share your data, it's not true. Please share your data. Let us go through your data. If you can't do that, then you are being misleading. I am fine if Assassin's Creed sells well. It will not hurt me whatsoever. What I am critical of is people, especially Ubisoft, and those people, this dude, Matt, saying it sold well, trust me. Not how this works. Stop saying that. Show where the numbers are. Show me. If he said it was behind Monster Hunter Wilds, then show me the data. But how much was it behind? Was it 30%? Was it 10%? Was it 50%? What is the data? We've had 3 million players play the game. What does that mean? Because Ubisoft has a subscription service that people can use, and they reportedly have 2 million players. So did you just decide to put all those 2 million players and be like, look, 2 million players played the game because they're on our subscription service, which makes no sense. Like, we just want to know the numbers, and you can't provide them. It's weird. Like previously, when developers were happy about good sales, they would provide the sales numbers. They don't. It did well. How well did it do? Trust me, not the good argument. Why are people making worse arguments? If your game sold, you should be wanting to show the numbers. But it's really suspicious when you don't. I don't know. It's just weird. All right. Overwatch 2 has a new game mode called Stadium. It will be launching on April 22nd, 2025. And Stadium mode is considered a significant change to the game. Reason being is because it leans more into the MOAB type of a thing with different types of abilities, different types of things you can do with a character. It's in third person mode. It's supposed to be the game changer of Overwatch 2. We'll see. It could be fun, could be not. It all depends on if players are going to actually play the game. Let's be honest. Since Marvel Rivals came out, Overwatch has not been doing very well. It has lost a bunch of players because players have just become just tired of just Blizzard in general. Blizzard is not what it used to be. Blizzard made great games in the past. The last great game it made was the original Overwatch. I will not consider Overwatch 2 a great game because it's not even a 2. It's just Overwatch 1.5. People are right to say that. It's Overwatch 1.5. But they made StarCraft 2, Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, World of Warcraft, Diablo 1, Diablo 2, 3, 4 is all right. But again, they don't make a lot of original games anymore. They did have one in development, survival game, got canned. So here we're at. So Stadium is the best of 7 game mode that includes shorter rounds and allows for strategic planning between them. The mode also allows players to enhance their heroes with added survivability, damage, and ability buffs. The mode will feature 17 heroes and 9 maps at launch, with plans for continual evolution and addition of new heroes. Game director Aaron Keller stated that Stadium mode has been in development since before Overwatch 2's launch. So why didn't you just add it into Overwatch 1? There was a content drought, and you just hold that back until we see that Marvel Rivals is doing well. Weird. So weird. Stadium mode is designed to cater to players' desire for more downtime strategy and emphasis on power fantasy. The mode eliminates hero swapping, encourages players to build around their challenges, which I would actually play instead because, all right, I picked this hero. All right, I got to figure out how to make him better. And so to help out the team, it's 5v5. I'm probably going to have an issue with it because I don't consider 5v5 a really good mode and probably should have never happened. Because to be honest with you, 2 tanks is the best as always. I'm sorry. It just is. 1 tank is just awful. I don't play tanks. I used to play tanks in Overwatch 1 because it was fun. Have another tank to peel for me. Still got blamed, but not as badly. And just the tank synergy was just, there was nothing like it. But Overwatch 2, yoink, and it's not that good. Sorry, guys. Oh, I just love the gaslighting of the player base. Oh, you just 6v6 because nostalgia. No, we like 6v6 because it worked. And it proves our point. All right, so I have some unfortunate news for June Awakening. It has been delayed to June 10th, 2025, Players who purchase the Deluxe or Ultimate Edition will have early access starting June 5th. The delay is due to feedback from ongoing persistent closed beta, allowing the development team more time to implement changes. Funcom plans to host a large-scale beta weekend next month for more players to participate and provide feedback. A combat live stream is scheduled. Actually, it was scheduled, and so if you want to check it out, I'm fine with this, to be honest with you. If they make a decision, look at our game is pretty good state, but there's some issues with it and we need more time. I'm fine with that because that just allows them more time to make the game better. And so if they make the game better and people like it, it'll be a successful game. If they pull an EA with Battlefield 2042, oh, it's in a great state, it's awesome, and then they launch it and everybody's like, what? This is not good. That's where you have the problems. All right, moving on to Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has received a patch of 1.2.4 update. The update introduces a new hardcore mode for players. So Kingdom Come Deliverance, the more realistic non-fantasy medieval RPG, is going to get more realistic. Hard mode includes the removal of fast travel, so you can no longer fast travel. Could be interesting. And requires players to select a negative perk before starting the game. Oh, brutal. Negative perks includes sweaty. Henry smells worse when he doesn't shower. Might want to take that one. Bashful. Henry cannot ask villagers for directions. And then somnambulant. Henry can wake up in a different location after resting. That would be funny. Just fall asleep in your house and you're in a different town. I'd be scared to go to sleep. I'd be like, I don't want to go to sleep. No, not going to. Okay, I have to go to sleep because even the regular mode, it's very realistic. If you don't go to sleep, you actually start to fall asleep. I played the original one. Yeah, if you don't sleep, the game will make you sleep. All right, patch 1.4.2 also provides various fixes and rebalances for standard gameplay, such as rebalance prices of herbs, a new hairstyle option for Henry, and fix for save file issues specifically for Xbox players. You want more power to them. I was a little rightfully critiquing the gay love scene between the two main characters, which previously in the original game had no indication of that. So weird. And then the introduction of a random black dude. So will I pick it up? Probably eventually when it's on sale, but right now I'm good. All right, so Bungie finally unveiled more information on Marathon. So this game is an extraction shooter because we don't have any of those. There's a dearth of extraction shooters. Will be released on September 23rd for PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X. Marathon will support cross-play and cross-save on all platforms at launch. Now, here's the funny part. Bungie confirmed that Marathon will be a premium title, but not be full price. I don't even know what that means. That's marketing speak for what we don't know what we're going to charge right now. That's really what it means. Because they don't know what they're going to charge. They're trying to figure it out. They're like, should we do $40? Should we do the regular one that's $70? Should we do $100? Because you know that's going to eventually be coming. Looking at you, Grand Theft Auto 6, which if it is $100, I am not playing. Plus, I'm not really quite keen on what they're going to be doing. And to be honest with you, I have Grand Theft Auto games that I never finish. I start and I'm like, yeah, this is great. And I'm like, I don't want to play this anymore. I don't know why. Anyways, the game will feature 3 maps at launch, with a 4th map coming shortly after. Marathon will include a battle pass system because, man, we are thinking as gamers, we need more battle pass systems because those are so fun. The specific price of the game will be announced later in the summer. Here's all the stuff. We don't want you to know the price because we know it'll be a shocker. Players can loot items from the game world and other players, but dying without extracting results in the loss of all your loot, and basically what extraction shooters are. Players can be revived during the match if a teammate is alive to interact with their death stash. Bungie is hosting close alpha for this game this month, which requires joining the game official Discord server to sign up. Don't care. There may be public testing available before the game's official release. Here's a problem. The internet is not really in favor of this. They really have harkened it back to Concord, which is funny because one of the developers of Concord's, look at guys, I know our game sucked. Can you please stop talking about it? And this game's going to be cool. And everybody's like, no. So I don't know. I looked at some of the screenshots and stuff and looked at some of the videos, and it's all right. First of all, the original Marathon games from Bungie was created for Mac on Mac. It was one of the few games on Mac. And it was a single player game because multiplayer was not big in the 90s because there really was no internet didn't really come to the masses until 96. And even then, good luck trying to play with the like the beginning of my intro is actually the awful internet thing, but I thought it would be fun to actually do something like that. Anyways, Bungie is not what Bungie was. And I think a lot of gamers are starting to wake up to, just because the developer has made great games in the past, if those people leave, the games are not going to be as good as we remembered from the past. Bungie made great Halo games. Destiny, all right. Destiny 2, even worse. And the quality has been going down. Because, unfortunately, Bungie shifted from making great games, like a lot of developers have done, and shifted towards gender ideology, politics, mostly leftism, and thinking that will help shore up game sales. It doesn't. It pisses us off most of the time, and you really should just stop. Make great games. It's all you got to do. If you have politics against whatever everybody wants, great. Don't share it on your business. You have people that are going to be people that are from the left, from the right, and in the center. They're all going to work for you. Leave your politics out of it. Just make games. You're there to do business. And that means doing business with people you don't agree with. Unless you're in the opinion market, then it's different. But this is just bad. I really don't want to see Bungie fail, but to be honest with you, they probably are unless they get their act together. All right. So here's the problem. They announced today about Medicare cuts from the United States, which is always happening. And one of the major things about it is they're proposing that the reason why it's expensive is because of single men that, quote unquote, play video games all day. Now, I don't condone playing video games all day. I think that's actually not good for you. I think that's very detrimental to you unless you're streaming and that's how you make it income. Then I'm okay with that, but I still think you need to go out and touch grass. But the epidemic of men not wanting to work is not because of video games. Video games are not the symptom of the overall larger issue of society hating men. Society does not like men. Society hates masculinity. Even though masculinity is good, feminism has decided that society needs to hate masculinity. The problem is women biologically need masculinity. So the conundrum comes to, let's blame men for all the issues of society, which is not working anymore because men are like, you know what? I'm done. I'm checking out. Second of all, the reason why men like video games is because, one, competition, because we are very competitive animals. Two, hero fantasy. Because society told us that we don't want the damsels in distress. We don't want the knight in shining armor. That's done. That's over with. Equality raw until I decide that I want chivalry again. And so what men did is like, all right, fine. I will go and play video games because at least that allows me to do that until they decided to stop doing that. And now we're all screwed. Or we just become drug dealers in Schedule 1. So the issue is that society has not looked at men's problems and said, maybe we should look at this and fix this. They've decided instead to blame them. You cannot blame young men who don't understand how to be men. If they're never instilled how to work, why are you blaming them that they don't work? This isn't a cut and dry issue. Video games are not the problem. Society is the problem. You have to look at society and go, look at. We have chased men out of Boy Scouts because Boy Scouts are not for men anymore, or boys, or whatever. We have chased them out of the church, especially Protestantism, because I don't know why. We have chased them out of every single thing, and we've told women to be masculine. There is an unequal equation here. When you do this, men become more feminine because it needs to equal out. Will it be a good outcome? No. It will be a terrible outcome, and we are seeing it right now in real time. And guess what? Schools are made for women, not men, not boys. This is why women do better. This is why women are going to college more often. You do not make strong men by telling them to stop being masculine. You make weak, effeminate men by telling them to stop being masculine, by not showing masculine things, by having TV shows that either have idiots, terrible fathers, or oofs. Oofs? Just terrible role models. We have no role models to look at to show us how to be men. The church used to do it and basically said, no, we're good. So men don't go to church anymore. There are ways to figure out how to do it without blaming us all the time. You keep doing this, we check out. And we are checked out, and you are feeling it. Men drive society. Men protect society. You lose us, you lose society. Women build up societies by having babies, and we're not even doing that either. So there is a systematic wide issue with society. And instead of going, look it, we know men aren't really wanting to work, and playing video games is their escape from the, try not to curse, from the crap we're doing to them. But we're going to blame them instead because that has worked. That has not worked. I remember one time when I graduated from college in 2011, I met with a college administrator, and he even said in 2011, look, we're having issues with guys going to college. And I told him, it's because you aren't catering to them, and they still don't get it. If you want customers, you have to cater to customers' needs. If you don't, they don't buy your stuff. I don't understand why marketing is so difficult when it comes to men. It's like all of a sudden I don't know how do we do it? Even in gaming now, it's, we have majority gamers that are customers. Let's not cater to them. I'm like, what are you doing? That's not how you get people to buy your game. Yes, majority of gaming is men. Get used to it. Men like things. Get used to it. Feminism is probably the single most dangerous modern, I'm going to call it a theology because it's really a cult, I've ever seen in modern times. It's right up there with communism because they're really insidious and they seem like a good idea until they're implemented from the 60s. So we've had several decades of this and it's gotten worse. It hasn't gotten better. It's like the Department of Education. We're last and we spend the most money on kids for education. Always something wrong there. But no, the government instead goes, video games bad. Guys get to work. I'm like, that's not going to work anymore. You have an internet culture, right or wrong, and largely right. You can call it the red pill or whatever, but they're largely right about what's going on. You can hate what they're saying. I don't really care, but they're largely right. And if you aren't paying attention to what they're saying, you are missing the point and you're not connecting to men. Telling them to get to work is not going to work anymore. You have to fix the issues. It's like blaming the gun for killing somebody. It's not the gun. The gun didn't do anything. It was the person behind the gun. The gun doesn't randomly shoot. They have guns in the house. They don't randomly fire off every once in a while. Because the gun doesn't shoot itself. The game's only being played because men are frustrated and tired of society. I'm sick of seeing this. Like, we have adults and politicians that still aren't grown up. I just blame guys for their video games. It's no, the video games are basically just the end point of what has been going on. You can't tell men they're terrible. You can't tell us that we shouldn't speak up or we shouldn't speak up because it's mansplaining. You can't say that silence is violence and then tell us, why aren't you doing anything, and expect us to do something. We're like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm going to go in the woods with my Xbox and I'm going to just play games because I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. It's just, it's stupid. All right, moving on to even better things. Why you never listen to China. So, China has this new fangled cable called the GPMI. It's so original. It's a GPMI type C. Its bandwidth is 96 gigabytes per second. Power delivery is 240 watts. And there's the type B2, which is 192 gigabytes per second and a power delivery of 480 watts. It outperforms HDMI 2.2 bandwidth and Thunderbolt 5 bandwidth. It outperforms as well. The key features is a two-way multi-stream data transfer, bidirectional control, unified connection for power delivery and data transmission, USB ecosystem compatibility, fast wake up, and ultra fast transition, enhanced security. That's coming from China. That's pretty funny. So here's the thing. We've seen this before. China makes a claim that says that they have this amazing technology that beats the West. Oh, those dirty West people. And then real life hits it and it's not that good. It's happened time and time again. And yet reporters still try to go look at what China's doing. I'm like, yeah, they're lying to you because that's what they do. And they reverse engineer everything because they don't make or innovate anything. When's the last time you may have had an actual true innovation in China? It hasn't happened because it never happens. This is why I'm very skeptical about everything coming out. Look at this. It says it's great. It says it's wonderful. No, it is not. This happened with their AI model that said that they were very efficient and they only used millions of dollars. And in reality, they bought a bunch of NVIDIA GPUs and spent billions of dollars trying to get this efficiency model, which basically made them not very efficient and close to what ChatGPT is doing. And they will continue to do it because we are gullible enough to think that China actually innovates anything. You talk to anybody that works or has business with China, they will tell you they will steal your stuff. They do not care. And I'm trying to wake you guys up to this. Stop believing everything comes out of China. They rarely work out. It's usually worse, or it's usually stolen. Those are the two outcomes of this. This is probably going to be about half of what it actually is, or it's going to be very unreliable. I will wait for HDMI or DisplayPort to come out with their innovations, because there actually are innovations in that. And this has already been touted as USB-C to actually start to do data signals plus power stuff. It's already been in the works for a while. This is just like China going, we did it. And it's, I'll just wait for the actual people that do innovate. I'll wait for them to actually make their announcements. More power to you, China. You do a really great PR stunt that seems to think it works. Which now comes about with the tariffs again, because I have to keep on talking about the tariffs because things change all the time. So, here's the thing. Yes, there was a temporary halt on tariffs for a lot of tech products. Yes, this is a temporary pause, meaning there will be tariffs on this. This is why I've said time and time again, if you guys are looking to upgrade anything, and if you can find it, because I know a GPU is really hard to find right now, buy it now. Because I'm telling you, this is going to get worse before it gets better, because China is trying to save. So, Trump already enacted a 245% tariff on some products. Do I see it going up? More than likely, unless China starts to make a deal and take it seriously. Right now, they're not. They're hoping that he will balk, and they're hoping that they can get back to what normally they get from us. The issue is all the smart people, all the people that have done work in China and have done business with China know what they do. It's not a carefully guarded secret. They steal our tech, they manipulate their currency, and they flood our markets with cheap China crap. That's what they do. And so this is why I'm telling you now, if you can wait a few years, wait a few years. If you can't, buy it now, because it's going to hurt in the long run. I agree with the administration saying that we need to start building our critical infrastructures in this country. That means tech, that means pharmaceuticals, that means our weapons, that means everything that's critical to us that we need to procure. Because if we look at COVID-19 and the quote unquote pandemic that really wasn't a pandemic, China withholded a lot of stuff from us. Masks, pharmaceuticals, because they could. That's not a good thing. And tech especially needs to be built here, because they will steal it, and we don't need them building our phones, building our communication systems, building any tech that they could find a way to put a malware on there. Doesn't need to happen. It needs to be built here. Includes keyboards and mice, even though those are low-level things. Still one of the things that need to be built here, because you have no idea what they can embed into that, since a lot of it's reliant on tech. Our cars need to be built here. Tech inside the cars need to be built here. It is one of those fundamental things that you cannot give a country that has profit off of us. Look at, they're only number two because of us. They're number two because, first of all, Nixon opened up trade to China. Clinton decided to bring China into the World Trade Organization. By the way, he was not a great president on economy. He literally did not know anything about economy. You don't send off your manufacturing. That's how you kill a country. And we're seeing the effects of it. So what do we do? I know there's that China meme going around about fat white people making clothes and stuff, but I mean, that's not the reality of it. That's them propaganding again. What will more than likely happen is that robots will be making the majority of our stuff. They'll have few people monitoring the robots, but robots or machines will be making the majority of stuff. The machines make the majority of our stuff anyways. Like repetitive tasks are really suited for machines, not humans. So this is where we're at right now. There are going to be tariffs on tech stuff. You cannot get around that whatsoever. So I want to be very clear. Tariffs are coming unless China makes a deal. I don't see China. I know Trump said that they're talking to China, whatever that means, or they want to strike a deal or whatever that means. And they'll probably do it behind closed doors. Because again, they have to save face. They're not going to do it in the open. They're not going to try to do any of that. They're going to do it behind closed doors. But for now, we have no idea because we're not in those meetings and they're not giving us the reason for those meetings because security reasons. They want to make sure that all countries are respected in that sense. So what do we do now is really batten down the hatches. There's not much else you can do. I mean, I guess you could file lawsuits against it, but ordinary Americans or gamers, really not much you can do. Just buy it now and wait. Is probably the best option you can. But right now, it's very real that the tariffs could go pretty high, which will inflate the price of a lot of things. NVIDIA and AMD already said that there are going to be costs that eat from this. It's very real. It's going to hurt. NVIDIA is probably going to be moving a lot of their production into Arizona. It's the AMD doing that. It's just a very practical thing to do. Very smart thing to do. Will it add costs? In the short term, yeah. In the long run, eventually when things and processes get in place, it gets a lot more efficient, it might start to come down. We're going to see a rise again. What we all want to hear? No. Is it what we need to do? Yeah. There's no getting around it. All right. Well, that is the end of Digital Coffee Gaming Brew, and thank you for joining Digital Coffee Gaming Brew. I do appreciate it. And please subscribe to this podcast on all your favorite podcasting apps. Leave a 5-star review. It will just help. Join me next week as we talk about what's going on in the PC gaming industry. All right, guys, stay safe. Get that tech product that you need. Get it now. Get it quick. And see you next week. Later.